it's great to have everybody here. We are glad to have you with us for a very special day in a very special place. It's funny, if we had been here a number of years ago, I guess we'd be in the pool, wouldn't we? Chancellor, or close to the pool somewhere. Things have changed so much here over the years when you think about the fact that we had this field years ago, but we didn't have Hawkins Field. And we didn't have the renovations of the practice facility and Memorial Gym. We didn't have the indoor multi-purpose facility. We've done so many wonderful things here over the years to enhance our facilities, and more of that being done today, and that's the main reason that we are here. Glad to have all of you with us. Glad to have all the former Commodore players that are with us all around that are such an integral part of what is taking place here at Vanderbilt. Let's get it started. Let me introduce the man that's overseeing all this. He's done a wonderful job with all these wonderful additions and continues to do so. Our Chancellor, Nicholas Evans.
Sorry, I'm only going for a half hour. I was doing an hour up there. So it's great to welcome so many of the Vanderbilt family and to really be here to celebrate, I think, the Vanderbilt athletics, college athletics done really in the best way by focusing on the student and the student athlete. I think by any measure, Vanderbilt and Vanderbilt baseball and Vanderbilt athletics represent the very best in the SEC and indeed in our nation. I'm joined today by my good friend and colleague, Vice Chancellor David Williams, my friend and our coach, Tim Corbin, and of course my protege, David Price. Former student, I'm not washing my hand, David, you shook it. Former Vanderbilt student athlete, and of course pitcher for the Boston Red Sox, as well as, and this is really heartening, the Vanderbilt family, so many former players, present players, people from the community coming out. And clearly, thanks to the generosity of so many of you, we are in this construction site. And my job is to sit back and let David Williams and Tim Corbin and all you youngsters and all you on the staff do your magic. My job is to support you, and then when the memo for approval comes across my desk, to sign it as quickly as I can to invest further in this extraordinary program. So thanks to all of you who have made this possible. I was here when Tim came. I was the provost, the chief academic officer. And I think if anyone says something is hard to do, if somebody says, I want to give it to me when it's already done and I'll just kind of collect more accolades, talk to Tim Corbin. We were last in the SEC in terms of draft picks in 2003. In 2013, we ranked first. And no one will ever forget our boys of summer, the 2014 College World Series champion. 15 years ago, Tim came. He stood in that room with me on a cold day. He had on what I thought was one of the most unattractively green sweatsuits. He probably still has it, has holes in it. And he's showing the kid values of tradition and, you know, don't throw things away for the newest thing, Tim. But I remember that. And I said, I would have played for him. I've got no arm. I can't hit a 30-mile-an-hour pitch. I would have played for Tim. And now we see what Tim has done. We're a family here at Vanderbilt. And Vanderbilt baseball is a family. We have a firm commitment, and I think it comes from Tim, focused on the development of these fine young men as students and as athletes. So it is really fitting that this focus, the focus of this facility is on the student athlete. Let me just make it clear on a Friday when, as I said, we could play 2 games today if the schedule allowed for it with this weather. I am thrilled and I'm humbled to announce that David Price has made a $2.5 million gift to support this baseball facilities project. And I think that's historic. Not a single gift. to this project, and it has made possible this project. 60% of our former players have been inspired and joined David in giving back. David, I am so proud, and I know the university is in great hands for the future when I'm long gone, and you and your teammates and classmates are stewarding the university. The image I have is of a young kid coming up from Murfreesboro and coming to play at Vanderbilt and walking around the campus and standing on that mound and looking at all these buildings and probably at some point saying, "Boy, I wonder who built all this stuff." And what I can tell you as the chancellor is when I look out among the students, I know there are going to be young people like you, fine young men like you who say, it's my turn to give back, to sustain and grow for others. So thank you so much, David. You're a model of what any chancellor could possibly hope for. I really appreciate it. So with that, let me turn it over to my co-counsel here, David Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chancellor. And thank you all for coming. You know, it's an interesting day. All days are interesting, and some days are even more so, and this is one of them. I want to really talk about two things real quickly. And first is the project itself. It's kind of cool to sit in here as we kind of develop it and to have this press conference in this area. What tends to happen is 2-3 years later, we'll come back and we'll forget what wasn't here. So we're in the transformation, and that's the point when you should make it, because what we're celebrating is transformative. 250 gifts, I want to repeat that. 250 gifts were made to this project. That's a record for us in athletics. As the Chancellor said, 60% of Coach Corbin's players who played for Tim, gave to this gift. Just think of that, 250 gifts, and 60% of them came from young men who played for Coach Corbin in that period of time. That's phenomenal, and I don't know any other university's athletic department that can say that. And that says an awful lot about what Tim does and has done, does now, and will continue to do. That people, in this case, young men who played for him, felt so strongly, not only about him, but about Vanderbilt and what the combination of what Tim and Vanderbilt has done to help them, that they would give back to it. And that's all ranges. You know, it wasn't a matter of how much you can give. They just wanted to make sure that they gave, that they were a part of it. The effort was led, actually, co-chaired by two former players, Carter Hawkins and Drew Fann. Two young men who played for Tim and played as teammates for many of you. They basically said, we'll take this, we got this. We'll make sure that this gets done. 30 gifts of over 100,000. 30 gifts of over 100,000. And 5 gifts that were 7 figures. 5 gifts that were 7 figures. I'd like to take a moment and thank Johnny and Ann Johnson, Orrin and Leanne Ingram, John and Stephanie Ingram, and Richard and Pat, and Robin Patton, who were part of it. But now I want to get to the lead gift. I remember, Dave, when you came here as a freshman. David Price has always been a leader. Even when he didn't want to be a leader, or didn't think he was a leader, he's always been a leader. And by what he's done today, he continues to be a leader. I know he's a leader because I started rooting for Tampa, and then left and rooted for Detroit, and then transferred to Toronto. Now I'm a Red Sox fan. And that's because David is leading me to who I'm supposed to cheer for. He's always been a person, as a student, as a player, as a young man, that you're proud of, and that other people look up to and want to be. But at the same time, someone asked me yesterday, who was writing something, what's the most important thing you remember about him? He's always been the same person. He's always been the same person. He's the same person that came here as a freshman, who enjoys the game, enjoys life, is always going to be there for you, always going to be on your side. It's cool when we go to games. Love to be at the World Series, and you look up, David pitched the night before, and he's there in Omaha, and he's got that hat on. That's a university we can't pay for the advertisement we get from David Price. That's the person he is. And how is he part of that? Well, he has a great mom and dad right off the bat. That's where it starts. And then in his time here, he had Coach Corbin. And so that's how he's gotten to be who he is, and it's now his turn to take all of that and influence others. And he's done that by this gift. There's a strange thing that happens in college athletics. Most college athletes don't give back. That's a known fact. Most college athletes don't give back. But once again, David Price is a leader. He's a leader by what he's done to reach out and say, I'm going to give back to the university, to the athletic department, and to the coach that helped me get to this point. And that sends a signal to everybody else. And David and the other people, the other players that gave back, have sent a message to the rest of college athletics that this is what happens at Vanderbilt. So David, I want to thank you. What you're doing and what you've done is not only revolutionary, not only leadership, but it will start something that can't be stopped. Thank you very much.